Let's take a look at solving systems of nonlinear equations. Now this is going to be with the TI-82 calculator, and my website www.mathheals.com has more videos. If you go to the graphing calculator link, it'll eventually probably say graphing calculator/technology, and then it'll be by subject, so you go to college algebra, and you can see all the different videos there are for college algebra. And I'm going through and creating them for every calculator, so you can then pick whatever model of calculator you have and access it. If you're having trouble in your class and you want to get additional help, you can go to math class information. That'll eventually say math lecture. And then you go in college algebra, and you can watch the YouTube videos to see all these different ones. Like if you want to watch absolute value inequalities, watch this YouTube video. Don't watch WebEx. I'll eventually remove those. That was before I learned how to do YouTube videos. Okay, now let's take a look at systems of nonlinear equations. Our first one is where we got y is equal to x squared minus 2 and y is equal to 3x minus 4. This works well on a calculator if you can solve for y easily. When I say solve for y easily, if you have an even power on y or an absolute value around the y, you can't solve for it easily. We're going to, since we have both these as y by themselves, we'll put on x squared minus 2 on y1, and we'll put 3x minus 4 on y2. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to press my y equals, press my clear on y1, down arrow to y2, and press clear. Then I'll up arrow again to y1. Okay, I want to put an x squared minus 2. So I do my x key, x squared minus 2, and then enter, and then 3x minus 4 on y2. So 3x minus 4. Now we're going to do a second trace, and we want to choose intersect, number 5. You can always choose it just by pressing the numbers in front of each choice. Now our answer is going to be where they intersect. And I have a hard time seeing what's going on here, but I got a feeling it's intersecting here and intersecting here. Now if you want to see it better, then you can do some zooming. You don't have to. Calculator doesn't care about that. But let's do that just so we can see a little bit better. Let me do a zoom, and I want to do an enter on Z box. Now I'm going to do my up arrow, left arrow, put it maybe about right there. That's going to be the upper left hand corner of our box. Now press enter one time. Then I'll do a down arrow and I'm holding it down, and then I'm going to do a right arrow and I'm holding that down. And that's going to be the lower right hand corner of our box. Once you get it to where you want, then you just press enter and it'll zoom in on that part. Now I can see a little bit better. There's an answer right here where my cursor is and right here. So we're going to have to do this process twice to get those answers. So do second trace, choose intersect, enter on first curve, enter on second curve, and we want our flashing cursor closer to the answer we're trying to find. And this one's closer down here. Now, I could right arrow if I wanted to move a little bit, but it's close enough. And then press enter. And we get 1, -1 is our first answer. Well, we got another answer right up here, so let's do it again. Looks like just eyeballing it, maybe 2, 2. Anyway, I'll do second trace, choose 5 for intersect, enter our first curve, enter our second curve, and then I'll do my right arrow key to move my cursor over closer to the one we're trying to find. So I move it over right here, and then I'll press enter, and it tells me my second answer is 2, 2. Now to set your calculator back, you do zoom, and then you choose 6 for Z standard. And that sets it back to the standard viewing window. You want to redo that every time you go and graph something new. Okay, let's take a look at our second problem. We got y is equal to x squared minus 2, and y is equal to negative x squared plus 4. Okay, let's go enter these in. So I press y equals, press clear, down arrow, press clear, and I'm up arrow on y1 and put x squared minus 2. So x key, x squared minus 2, enter. And then on y2, I'm going to put my negative x squared plus 4. And then I'm going to do second trace, choose 5 for intersect. There's my first one, and there's my second one. And our answers are where they intersect. So it says first curve, so I do enter on first curve, second curve, do enter on second curve. And now I'm going to move my left arrow to move my flashing cursor over closer to the one I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find this one, so that's good enough, and I press enter. Then we get negative 1.73 and 1. Negative 1.73 and 1 is our first answer. Well, we got another one. We're in this right side. So I'm going to do second trace again. Choose 5 for intersect. Enter on first curve, enter on second curve, and I'll press my right arrow key and hold down, move my cursor over close to that one, and then press enter. And that gives us 1.73 and 1. Okay. Now, if at all possible, we don't want decimals. So this right here, this x equals, let me show you how you change it to a fraction if you could. So we'll x out, we do second mode, and then we press our x key, math, enter. Now it doesn't change to a fraction, that's why I didn't bother as first one. I know I'll show you 2 that didn't change. But that's as good as it's going to get in terms of using the TI-82 to come up with those answers. Well, why didn't it change? Let's do it by hand. We got y is equal to x squared minus 2, and y is equal to negative x squared plus 4. Although there's different ways of doing this, I'm going to do it by substitution. Step 1. Solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Doesn't matter which one, I'll pick the second one. Now this is pretty nice because it's already solved for y, so we don't have to do any kind of work at all. Step 2, plug this into the other equation and solve. So our other equation is y is equal to x squared minus 2. And we just said y is equal to negative x squared plus 4, so we're going to replace the y here with negative x squared plus 4. Okay, now to solve for x, I want to get everything with x on one side, numbers on the other, so take negative x squared over to the right side, take negative 2 over the left. Remember, you take anything across your equals, your sign changes, so the negative 2 becomes a positive 2. And the negative x squared becomes a positive x squared. Combine together the numbers. 4 plus 2 is 6. X squared plus x squared is 2x squared. Divide both sides by 2, and we get x squared is equal to 3. And square root property says if you got something squared equal to something else, you drop your squared, and you put a plus or minus square root on the other side. Okay. Well, the reason why they wouldn't change to fraction is they were actually radical answers. Third step. We want to take the values we just found, and we want to plug them in to the equation from step 1. So the equation from step 1 says y is equal to negative x squared plus 4. And we'll plug both those in. So I'm going to have y is equal to negative square root of 3 squared plus 4, which the square root and the second power cancels, so that gives us negative 3 plus 4, which would give us 1. So this answer is negative square root of 3, 1. Now this one, I'll do the same thing. I'll plug the square root of 3 in, so we got negative, and actually this should have been a negative over here. Okay, because then the negative squared is positive, so it gives you the same answer. Slipping. Okay, so the second power and the square root cancel, and that gives me negative 3 plus 4, which gives me 1. So this answer is square root of 3, comma 1. So if you're happy with decimal approximations, if you can get y by itself fairly easy, then the calculator works nice. If you want exact answers, then some of them you just have to do by hand if you want to get what it is equal to exactly. And that's solving nonlinear system of equations on a TI-82 calculator.